Today we climb Lost River Peak. There are 9 12,000-foot mountains in the state of Idaho, and the leftmost one is Bora, which is the tallest, and the rightmost one is Lost River. These are 7 of the 9 in the Lost River range. And we did Lost River today. Now we zoom in, the main feature of Lost River is something called the Super Gully. And it's basically a 5,000-foot gully that goes almost the entire length of the mountain. Our route doesn't take us through the entire Super Gully. We pick it up about halfway up. The neat thing about Lost River is that you can park your car right at the base. So there's almost no approach. It's like 10 feet. And then you go straight up this field, you cross over one little gully, and then you head up this ridge. And this ridge is really easy going. The trail is well defined, but actually the problem is that on the way down, it's actually kind of dicey. All right, up here is Last Tree, a typical location where we take a break, have a snack, enjoy the view. And then we make our way across the scree field on a well-defined trail. And it's actually fairly easy going until we get to the main feature, which is the Super Gully. And from here, the view up is absolutely outstanding. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make our way up here. The scree is not too steep here, so it doesn't shift that much until we get this constriction. And this constriction is kind of warped here by Google Maps, is called the Amphitheater of the Gods. And it looks really cool. It's a bunch of shells or cliff bands, maybe like 20 of them, that have a really cool effect. And right about here is the steepest part of the mountain. And there's a maximum angle which you can stack rocks before they start falling. It's called the angle of repose. And most of Lost River Mountain is actually in that, which means the scree shifts easily. It's one of those things where 2 steps up, 1 step down kind of thing. And from this point on to the top, it's actually very, very difficult because it just shifts so easily. So what we did is we actually went far to the left here to this ridge, and the angle is slightly narrower there, so it didn't shift quite as much. We walked up the ridge, but we definitely came down through the steepest part because scree surfing is a lot of fun. Now you think this is the top, but it's not. This is the false summit. Then you make it across this knife edge ridge until you get to the true summit, which has an amazing view, beautiful, beautiful weather, very little wind. It was just absolutely amazing. Now on the way back, this ridge really is sharp, and I got to emphasize that if you take a wrong step right or left, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to stop yourself before you fall off a cliff band. So it is very, very, very cautious. So we get to the edge here, and then we begin our scree surfing. Now in the winter, you can ski this whole thing, and you can also glissade it in the winter too, for the most part, which is really a ton of fun. But because the angle is so steep and the rock shifts so much, if you put your foot down when you're going down, when you're scree surfing, you're going to slide like 2 or 3 feet, which really is, it's a hoot. I mean, it's really one of my favorite things about this particular mountain, but it requires a lot of balance. And so without 2 trekking poles, it'd be very, very difficult. So we lost elevation so quick. I mean, seriously, I think it was like 3 hours going up the Super Gully and maybe 25 minutes going down, right down through the Amphitheater of the Gods. And then we got back to Last Tree. And the interesting thing is, Last Tree right here marks the difference between easy going up and hard going up to easy going down and hard going down. And it's hard going down because the rock is much more compact here. And so you're walking on these little pebbles. So you're always in danger of a good keister drop. And there we go. We got to the end here. I think we started at 7:30 and we got back to the car. I think it was 2:30. So it was a good trip.
Let's give it a try.
Ready to go?
And it's like, I love this vest. 400.
Whoa, looks more than that. Comes the sun, it's all right. This is Last Tree and the rock I always like to have lunch on. And I think this will be our view for our snack today. Not bad. Into the Super Gully. Not quite halfway up. And that's the hardest part for sure. More than half, less than 2/3 of the way down, way up. And we got a good part of the scree done, but not the hardest part yet.
Jupiters and
Amphitheater of the Gods. Halfway up the Amphitheater of the Gods,
And scree's not too bad. The sun has not caught up with us yet. On the ridge, I think I made it through the worst of the scree. Just a little bit more to the false summit. This is not the summit. Summit's right over there, but it's a fun walk.
This is going kind of slow.
On top of Lost River Peak, we had perfect weather. The trail was in much better condition than we expected, and we made good time. Had a nice lunch with almost no wind. I mean, seriously, the weather's perfect. I just can't. All right, so this is north looking. You can see Breitenbach right there. Bora's off in the distance with a little bit of snow on the edge. Church and Donaldson. And this is the ridge from which we came. And we're gonna head back, and we'll drop down into the valley, down there by Mackey. Hello. There's just nothing more pleasant than scree surfing. Call this last tree. It's the last tree up before we hit the alpine zone. It's a traditional resting spot. We were here this morning on that rock. It just has a fantastic view of all angles, and it's one of my favorite places. Close to the truck for cotton clothes, dry shoes and socks, and maybe a snack.